All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little Golden State Warriors video. Check out Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations there in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Well, the big news around the Golden State Warriors is what is going to happen with Draymond Green. The Warriors forward is a guy that they absolutely want back, and yet nobody really knows if he's going to be coming back or not. Um, Green has said that he remains intent on retiring as a Golden State Warrior, but it was Draymond who declined his $27.6 million option. And Mark Stein is reporting that a 3-year deal for Draymond Green is considered the most likely outcome. That despite the fact that other teams have a lot of interest in Draymond Green, who's a future Hall of Famer, that he wants to remain with the Warriors and that he's eventually going to sign with the Warriors. And he's thinking a 3-year deal will bring Green back. Now, the Kings, the Sacramento Kings, the Portland Trailblazers, and the Detroit Pistons are all expected to make plays for Green in free agency, according to Yahoo Sports' Jake Fisher. The Blazers could only get Green in a sign-and-trade deal, so it's very unlikely that the Warriors would agree to a sign-and-trade deal, especially in the division, to send Green to the Blazers. The Pistons and the Kings, who both have roughly $35 million of cap room, don't need a sign-and-trade to sign Draymond Green. Now, would Vivek Ranadivé be so intent on hurting the Warriors and taking Green from the Warriors that he would offer $40 million a year? My guess is no. And if you believe the rumors from earlier today, the Kings may be moving on to a pursuit of Kyle Kuzma, who's also a free agent, another forward who the Kings would like to have. As far as the Pistons, I mean, if Draymond Green really wants to win a title, I can't see him going home to play for the Detroit Pistons. He could usher in a new era there. He could be the big brother to the rest of those guys like Cade Cunningham. And there's some great young talent in Detroit that Draymond could put an arm around and say, hey, you know what? Follow me. But I think Draymond's too competitive to go to a situation that really is not a title contender, even if it's him going home. So we had a chance to talk to Bobby Marks on 95.7 The Game yesterday. When I say we, I mean myself and Dan Dibley. I sat in for Mark Willard on 95.7 The Game, and we had ESPN's Bobby Marks on. And Bobby Marks is one of the best front office guys in the entire league. And I asked him a direct question. I said, give me your prediction on what Draymond's contract is going to look like. And he thought about it for a second, and he said, you know what? I'm going to say 3 years and $100 million. So my guess was 3 years at $90 million. I think there's a lot of speculation out there that maybe the Warriors would love to get Draymond back for 3 years at $25 million a year, which would be 3 years, $75 million. I'm thinking 3 years, $30 million gets it done. And I'm thinking that maybe because Draymond probably leveraged the Jordan Poole trade, or at least expressed his interest that Poole be moved on and the Warriors acquiesced, that maybe Green would give them some kind of a hometown discount. And that's probably wishful thinking. But I'm thinking 3 years, $90 million, $30 million a year for Draymond Green. It's more than what he opted out for, so he's not taking a pay cut. At the same time, it's probably leaving money on the table, because I think there's a very good chance that the Kings and or Pistons may offer him a bigger deal. There's some speculation that you may see a $40 million a year offer for Draymond Green. I find that hard to believe, but how intent are some of these teams to have Draymond in the fold? We're going to find out in the coming days. But I asked Bobby Marks, what is your prediction on Draymond Green? And he said 3 years, $100 million, which would be $33.3 million a year. That would be a $6 million increase on what he was due to make if he had opted in. So it gives him a nice raise. It's over $100 million, or it's $100 million. So it's a nice round figure. It allows him to come back to the Warriors and, make more money, but still contend for a title. I think from the Warrior perspective, retaining Draymond Green is something that I'm pretty sure Steph Curry wants to see happen. I'm pretty sure that Steve Kerr, who's on record as saying that the Warriors are not a title contender if they don't have Draymond Green. In a lot of ways, that hurt the Warriors' leverage in the pool for Chris Paul trade. But it also means that, Steve Kerr's all in on Draymond coming back, and he helped Draymond's leverage basically by saying that the Warriors are not a title contender without Draymond. So if your head coach, who's the head coach of the U.S. Olympic team and is held in really high regard, who has one more year left on his contract, if he says you're not a title contender without Draymond Green and you're trying to, run it back with your core and see if you can get Steph Curry one more ring, it really adds a lot of juice to Draymond's desire for a new contract. So I think Bobby Marks pegged it right. He's got a great sense of the market. He's got a great sense of value around the league. And when he says 3-year deal for $33.3 million a year, nice round figures, $100 million for Draymond Green, I think that makes perfect sense. And then that gives the Warriors also some options because, I think if Draymond gets offered more money elsewhere, and it's very likely that one of those two teams, the Kings or Pistons, could offer more. When the Warriors go to Klay Thompson and say, "Hey, you got one more year at $43 million, and let's redo that deal and let's reduce your base salary," at least he can say, well, they can look him in the eye and say, "Hey, Draymond took less than what he potentially could have got. How about you take a little less than what potentially you could potentially earn in the open market and stick around?" I'm still not sure if Klay is going to wind up being here or not. It seems to me that if the Warriors are going to be significantly better next year than they were this year, they're probably going to have to move off of Klay Thompson in some form of a trade, but that's a different discussion altogether. But the real news is that Bobby Marks from ESPN, who knows the league like the back of his hand, is on the record predicting that Draymond Green is going to get a 3-year contract for $100 million, $33 million a year for Green, and that he will remain with the Golden State Warriors. And I think that's the kind of deal that would, excite the Warrior fans because, Draymond's coming back. It would excite Steph Curry because Curry, I don't want to say Curry needs Green, but Green and Curry play so well off of each other that I got to think that Curry would be very upset if Green was moving on. And Kerr's on the record, right? Kerr's on the record as saying we're not a championship team without him. So bringing him back is absolutely imperative to the Warriors, having a chance at a title, extending their window. And Bobby Marks says he's coming back 3 years, $100 million, 33.3 a year. All right. Hope you enjoyed our Warrior video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.